We've got details of these and many more coming up in the next 20 minutes if you spend your time with me. Remember, we are live on DSTV channel 279. Let's begin from here. The Office of the Overlord of the Gadangbe State has clarified that the marriage between the Bobu Wulomo Bokete Lawe Chru, the 33rd, and a 12-year-old girl is strictly for traditional purposes. I shall not be performing any conjugal right, and Nungwa Mankralo Checheni Bote Kofi Frankwa explains the minor will only be assisting the overlord with his duties at the temple as required of a virgin.
A grand ceremony was held to introduce the 12-year-old girl to her royal duties with the Gadangbe State's overlord, the Bobu Wulomo. The customary marriage between Na Yomo Ayemwade and 63-year-old Numo Bokete Lawe Churu, the 33rd, has sparked controversy on social media, raising concerns about child's rights. The Office of the Overlord of Gadangbe State noted that the traditional rite is for religious purposes and the girl would not perform any conjugal rites to the spiritual head. According to Nungwa Mankralo Techeni Bote Kofi Frankwa, the celebrant representing purity has been helping the chief priest attend to the 99 deities for the past 6 years.
This is the second wife, Nohimia. She's almost 90-something years. Can one say that the Baburomo is having what the concerns have been raised with her? Obviously no. But it's a customary duty. It's a customary duty for Nayomo Ayemwede to perform. And that customary duty calls for a virgin.
He clarified that none of her child's rights have been violated.
Her childhood had never been denied. There are many chiefs and queens that were installed chiefs and were installed queens when they were even in their mother's belly. Their rights were never taken away. Indeed, it enhanced and gave them certain privileges which ordinary children would not even have.
Na Yomo Ayemwade has been in the care of older women known as godmothers for 6 years, preparing her for adulthood as a queen. Awo Opobi is one of the godmothers.
She was in school all week until the weekend when the rites were performed, and she will return to school. We've already asked permission from the school. She's a queen.
The public is still upset about the significance of the tradition, despite some Nungwa residents deem it harmless.
It is in line with tradition and it's okay.
A senior lecturer, Department of Sociology at the University of Ghana, Dr. Samson Obed Apia, believes that society is dynamic and cultural practices must evolve in line with current trends.
Now, let's understand that cultures or traditions of the people are dynamic and not static. I believe that if we go back to history, tradition, and oral tradition, these were practices that these people were practicing for so many years, for decades, and realize that as societies change and people's way of life also change, there are always modifications to these ways of life. It's also very important to also ask, these are where the reasons why we also look at this practice in relation to current societal norms or the laws of the country.
You heard from them. They've allayed all fears, assuring that the rights of the young lady would be protected to the latter. Sarah Apenkro, TV3 News, Nungwa.
Now let's get some reactions. Former Gender Minister Nana Oye Bampo Ado says there is no justification for the 12-year-old girl to be married off to the chief priest, irrespective of who gave the consent for the marriage to take place. She has called on the government through the Gender Ministry, the Ghana Police Service, and other interest groups to ensure the reversal of illegal marriage. Take a listen.
You can only get married in Ghana if you are 18 years and above. So the question was a marriage contracted on the 30th of March or not between the Bobu Wulomo and this 12-year-old girl? If the answer is yes, then a crime has been committed, then it is clearly unlawful, and we are asking the police service, DOFSU, we are asking the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice and the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, which represents the executive arm of our government, to take charge, take responsibility, and act to address the situation. What has happened is clearly unlawful and is a crime.
One in a related development, Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright Appiah, says traditional norms and practices that could potentially harm children should be reviewed to prevent such situations.
We need to look at a lot of things within our traditional system that do not favor children, because any act or any cultural practices that endangers the life of a child is not accepted by law, and even within our moral context, is not something that we should condone. So traditional areas should also come to terms to accept the fact that things are evolving, and they also must conform to certain principles and things that are happening around them to be able to say that they want to do this. Because the whole principle why they have engaged this child is that the child must be a virgin. So if morally you cannot find anybody who is above the age of 80 who is a virgin, then it casts a doubt as to the kind of moral conscience that we are building in the minds of our children, to the extent that we have to fall on a 12-year-old girl to be able to perform that rite. Then it casts a lot of things on what tradition is in terms of what we need to do. So those reforms must take place within our traditional system so that they can also conform to law, especially when it comes to issues that concerns children.
Well, there's some reaction coming from the Ghana Police Service, and it's on their Facebook, and it has the caption, "A 12-year-old girl allegedly married to Bobu Wulomo and her mother under police protection." It further goes on to say the Ghana Police Service has identified and located the 12-year-old girl who is alleged to have been married to the 63-year-old Bobu Wulomo in Ongwa, Accra. The girl and her mother are currently under police protection, and the Ghana Police Service is working with the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection and the Department of Social Welfare to provide her with the necessary support while the matter is being investigated. So this is the reaction from the Ghana Police Service. Well, this is a development that really interests us as a media house, and so we'll just follow up and give you updates in our subsequent bulletins. Away from that, the ranking member on Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, says he will push for the House to set aside the new passport fees published online by the Passport Office. Applicants must now pay a minimum of 500 cedis to get a booklet from a previous fee of 100 cedis.
The Foreign Affairs Ministry in December last year announced its push for the application fee to be increased. The ministry explained government was basically paying at least 300 cedis to make up for the cost of the booklet, since applicants were only paying 100 cedis. New fees have since been published on the passport application portal. The 32-page booklet, which previously was available for 100 cedis, will now be available at 500 cedis. Expedited services for the same booklet, which stood at 150 cedis, can now be accessed at 700 cedis. Chair of Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, Andy Appiah-Kubi, believes the adjustment is justified.
It's never the case that passports are not competitive. The price of passports are not competitive if you compare with neighboring countries. We are the cheapest probably in Africa when you look at the cost element of passport provision and preparation. It is not a case that it is the same. It is not.
His colleague on the committee, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, however, disagrees. He maintains the new fees cannot stand.
I've already served notice that we are going to revisit this matter. We are not pleased with how the committee has been treated, how our advice was treated with contempt. We will revisit this matter. We'll reopen it. And when the House returns from recess, expect that we are going to make a strong push for a reversal of this very draconian and inimical action by the Foreign Ministry.
A cross-section of Ghanaians have been sharing their views on the new fees.
Just all of a sudden, we are just there and they said there's an increment in passports. So I don't think this will help us, because imagine that I've already made my budget, I'm going in for a passport, and all of a sudden I just get to the office only to realize that there is an increment. It means I have to go and labor for an extra money before I can come and get it. And I don't think this will help the country. It should be reversed.
It should be decreased for those who will be going to do it, because from 100 cedis to 500 cedis is really a huge amount of money.
If we get to know what they put in to bring out that, then maybe we can say that, oh, looking at the hardship in the system, at least something should be done about it.
Well, if you're just tuning in, you're watching the first news bulletin of the day right here on TV3 on New Day. My name is George Quinn. In more news this morning, some commercial drivers are supporting the Attorney General's request for the Ghana Police Service to seize impounding vehicles for minor road traffic offences. The Attorney General criticised the trend as an abuse of discretion in a strongly worded letter to the police. My colleague Noble Crosby Annan reports.
The Attorney General's letter to the Inspector General of Police calling on officers of the Ghana Police Service to desist from using the Road Traffic Regulations 2012 LI 2180 to impound vehicles for violations has been greeted with enthusiasm. The drivers in agreement are essentially saying these violations are committed by individuals driving the vehicles and not the vehicles.
As a driver, mistake, and say me need licenses, watch me. Yes, a court.
Ask the driver, if I offend the law, take me to court, not the vehicle. Do you arrest the car without a driver? Then take the car to court. You can't tell me you are impounding my car. Besides, there are no parking space at the station. Thieves sometimes break into the car.
To make a chance, say, would you make a siho? There's more police for no parking place. I'm a bit ubika ababisuho. I'm a crown for some baby yaka no niama.
Say, Uchimia, Mena watching one checker.
If you arrest me, you didn't arrest the car. The car was being driven. You don't have to impound the car when it can be used to work. Sometimes they impound the cars and we lose our sales.
Vehicles do not cross red lights by themselves. The drivers do. So the cars cannot be impounded, but the drivers can be dealt with. The Attorney General warns that police officers' wrongful actions to impound vehicles can lead to unnecessary government lawsuits, unnecessary expenses, and potentially avoidable judgment debts. The reasons given for this action, according to him, are deemed unfavorable.
On the flip side, however, some drivers are also of the opinion that in the face of the business they run, the work and pay format, this letter to the Inspector General of Police favors the car owners much to the detriment of the drivers themselves.
If the cars are impounded, the car owners can help you. This new directive favors car owners much more than the drivers.
Noble Crosby Annan, TV3 News, Accra.
Well, let's know what you make of stories that have been aired so far, especially the marriage of the 12-year-old girl to the chief priest of the Nungua Traditional Authority, and many more stories that have been aired. Just go onto our social media platforms, TV3 Ghana, especially Facebook, because we are live, and we'll surely read your comments and share them to the rest of the world. And now the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat says it is yet to receive financial clearance from the Finance Ministry to pay stipends of students studying abroad. Christian Yale reports that students in over 6 countries are grappling with difficulties, prompting them to seek alternative funding sources.
But even me, I'll not even take back. Week 6.
You can't cover, like you can't bounce back.
In November 2023, I reported about the frustrations of some final year French students whose study abroad had delayed. Their situation worsened as they were nearing the brink of deferring their academic programs. On January 31st, they secured government support and left the country for a year abroad program. Government has not yet paid their stipends 2 months into the program. Their hospital, transportation and book allowances have been delayed. Some of the students are not recognized in their host institutions due to non-payment of tuition fees.
It's very difficult out here. Life here is very expensive, and so the failure to disburse these funds is really causing a lot of challenges for us. Some students can't even afford 3 square meals a day. People aren't even able to afford transportation costs to go all the way from Benjaville to Kokosi. It's very bad, and we get so stressed out when we get to campus and we are not even able to concentrate during lectures.
The scholarship program is affecting students from the UK, Spain, Russia, Togo and Benin equally. The Scholarship Secretariat says it is yet to receive financial clearance from the Finance Ministry.
The arrangement has always been that we cater for the cost of tuition and some maintenance while they are there in their host countries of study. There's a delay, and the Ministry of Finance is working on it. We don't donate funds from our end. Everything that is approved in the budget, the Ministry of Finance finds a way to release them on quarterly basis. So, as a year abroad in Cote d'Ivoire, the year abroad in Russia, the year abroad in Spain, the year abroad in Togo and Benin, they've been penciled as a priority payment. As soon as they get funds from the Ministry of Finance, they'll be taken care of it.
Students say they have been left in a state of agony as they fear this could result in lasting consequences.
Just to mention a few, our monthly stipends, accommodation and tuition fees, which has impacted or which has had an effect on our academics so far. Now, there is not also any kind of like proper communication between the student body and then the scholarship secretariat.
We don't have a healthcare practitioner. So when someone is sick, we find it difficult finding a way to solve that issue. Because of the delay in the disbursement of funds, we are not really going to class. We are not even recognized as students because the government hasn't paid our fees, and so we don't have any registration or whatsoever.
The Scholarship Secretariat has assured that the student will be paid as soon as funds are released by the Finance Ministry.
I mean, in all humility, for you to go and do such a program, for your school to have selected you to go and do such a program, means that there ought to have been some form of preparation towards it. That notwithstanding, I can assure you that the government is working very hard at it. And very soon, I don't control the purse. As soon as funds are released to me, like we always do, we'll release it to them. They'll be paid. The government will release funds and will pay them.
Until then, students may have to deal with the harsh realities as they strive for academic excellence. Christian Yale, TV3 News.
Well, let's go back to our earlier story on the marriage of the 12-year-old girl to the chief priest of the Nungua Traditional Authority. We have some exclusive images and videos to that. And TV3 can confirm to you that today, dawn at 3 a.m., the 12-year-old girl was picked up by the Ghana Police Service. And we can't really confirm where exactly she's been taken to. But what we know is that the Ghana Police Service says the mother and the 12-year-old girl are under police protection. And it goes on to say that they've identified and located the 12-year-old girl who is alleged to have been married to the 63-year-old Bobu Olumo in Nungua. And the Ghana Police Service is working with the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection and the Department of Social Welfare to provide her with the necessary support while the matter is being investigated. And this has become an issue of grave concern from, advocates, among others. And this is the latest to it. The girl has been picked up today at dawn at 3 a.m. And these are exclusive visuals, to TV3. Well, we will still be following up on this very development and furnish you with updates in our subsequent bulletins. But that's how we end this morning's news. For more news updates, just log on to our website, is 3news.com. Thanks for watching It's always a pleasure coming here. My colleagues are standing by to continue with the show. Have a good morning.